Hey there, friends. This is Pastor Joe from Southwest Lutheran Church, and we're here to think through our passage from yesterday and our message on the Apostles' Creed. Remember, we're going through the meaning of the Apostles' Creed, and yesterday we asked, what does it mean that Jesus suffered under Pontius Pilate, that he was crucified, died, and was buried? And to help us think through this, we used a passage from the Old Testament, Isaiah chapter 53, where Isaiah describes the suffering servant of the Lord. And as we ask these questions, as we think about these things, remember, we always have two discipleship questions that we want to answer to help us move forward in our lives following Jesus today. Number one is, what is Jesus saying to us today? Number two is, what am I going to do about it? So, what is Jesus saying to us today? Remember how we talked about the many things that Jesus' death on the cross means. You know, we can think about Jesus suffering under Pontius Pilate. And the fact that Jesus suffered under Pontius Pilate, a Roman governor, it reminds us that in the Gospels, Jesus' crucifixion is portrayed as a clash between kingdoms. Here you have the proud and the mighty rulers of the world represented by the Roman Empire. And here you have the humble servant king of God's kingdom on earth, who is Jesus. And who wins in the end? It's the humble servant who lives by the power of love. We also can think about Jesus' crucifixion and the way that he died. What does that mean? Well, remember, the cross was a symbol of shame and despair and defeat and dishonor in the ancient world. No one wanted to be crucified. It was the worst thing that could happen to you. And the fact that Jesus let himself be crucified means that he is turning upside down our ideas of honor and shame. And he lifts up the weak and the lowly, and those who are proud and self-righteous, he is bringing them down. What else? We can think about Jesus' punishment that brings us peace. This is from Isaiah chapter 53. We can think about how Isaiah says the servant would take our pain upon himself. We can think about how Jesus identified himself with those who were unjustly oppressed and those without a defender, because he didn't deserve any of it, but he was crushed for our sake. And through all these things, Jesus brings us life, Jesus brings us healing, Jesus brings us peace, and Jesus brings us forgiveness. And as we think about all the many things that Jesus' death on the cross means, I think you might notice that only one of those things is really the way we traditionally and most often talk about Jesus' death on the cross, right? And that is forgiveness. We love to say, and we say it all the time, Jesus died to forgive my sins, and that is very true. But Jesus died and did much more than that through his death on the cross. Jesus died, we can say, to set us free. Jesus died on the cross to honor the weak. Jesus died on the cross to make us part of God's family. Jesus died on the cross to make us righteous. Jesus died on the cross to give us life. Jesus died on the cross to bring low the proud and the self-righteous. Jesus died on the cross to heal our wounds. Jesus died on the cross to take our pain, and so much more. When we think of Jesus' death on the cross, we need to be thinking big, because this is the beginning of everything changing in the world. So if that is the good news for us, that Jesus died for us to do so many good things, what does it mean for our lives today? How am I going to apply this in my life? What does Jesus want me to be doing? Well, here's how I would answer that. For me, I think it means that I am going to be a little more clear in my head about why I do the things I do. So, for example, when I go and visit my friends who are in addiction recovery, that's because Jesus died on the cross to set us free. Free from addiction, free from sin, free from so many things. When I go and visit my friends who are stuck in their homes, they can't get out, so people need to go to them. Well, that's because Jesus died on the cross to lift up, to honor, and to identify himself with the least of these, those who need to be honored because they need help. Because if we don't, then who will? When I'm talking with someone, when I get frustrated, and I need to take a break from the conversation, take a few deep breaths, reset myself in the conversation so I can move forward in a productive and a peaceful manner. That's because Jesus died on the cross to bring us peace. And I could keep going, but that's the idea, right? The things I do as a Christian, the things I know are good as a Christian, these come because I know that these are what Jesus accomplishes for us through his death on the cross. That Jesus suffered under Pontius Pilate, was crucified, died, and was buried. It means everything for us who follow him. So I do these things and I follow Jesus in this way so that in everything I do, I can be an agent of God's change. I can be bringing new life into the world in every circumstance, in every conversation, in every place I find myself. That's what it means for me. So what's it mean for you? How are you going to apply this good news that Jesus' death on the cross means so much? I'd love to hear what you have to say. Throw your comments down below in the comments. Throw your questions there too. I'd love to hear. I'd love to have a conversation. So until then, until next time, take care, God bless, and have a great day.